You're watching Cox Connections, only on Cox Nova. The mission of the Fairfax Symphony Orchestra is to explore and present works from all over, both traditional and modern, to audiences right here in our community, while helping build musicians and audiences for the future. Joining us here today to tell us all about it is the musical director, Christopher Zimmerman. Christopher, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
Pleasure to have you here. So for those not familiar with the Fairfax Symphony Orchestra, tell us a little bit about it.
Well, we're in our 58th season. So in fact, the season after next will be the 60th, which I think is a real landmark, and I hope we will make the most of that. Started in 1957. Like many regional orchestras in the country, it grew from fairly humble beginnings. I think an orchestra of maybe 10, 15, 20. First conductor was a man called Harvey Krasny. It's a Czech name. And then the symphony really grew and developed to what it is today by the work of Bill Hudson, who was my predecessor, who was at the helm for 28 years, I believe, which is a long time, an incredible commitment, and he built it remarkably to what it is today, which is a professional orchestra. I took over 5 years ago. As I say, we're now in our 58th season and going strong.
So where did the musicians come from?
The musicians come from basically the whole area, the DC area, including Fairfax, some in Arlington, some in Maryland as well. Many of them actually also play particularly in the winds and the brass section of the orchestra, play in the military bands in DC. So as you can imagine, some of them play in the President's Own, in fact. Wow. So as you can imagine, the technical level is remarkably high. I'm very pleased about that.
So what's the mission of the orchestra?
Well, a mission statement doesn't always reflect really the breadth of what we do. Basically, I think you indicated when you introduced the program, that we put on concerts for the public as a whole, but also very much put on educational and outreach programs, which actually is quite comprehensive. We go into the schools, into the public schools, of which of course there are many in Fairfax County, and we have a number of programs we present to the schools. One of them in particular I'd just like to say about, which I think is one of our most effective, is what we call the SCORE program, and it's where players from the symphony, and sometimes conducted by myself or one of our staff conductors, goes into the school, and our professionals sit next to the school orchestra kids, and we rehearse with them for the upcoming program they have. So it's actually quite intimate in a sense, one-on-one rehearsals and coachings and so on and so forth.
Aspiring band members become part of the orchestra.
Indeed.
You connect with them.
Yeah.
Just curious, any mentoring go on along that process?
Yes, absolutely. Sometimes there's even one-on-one. And in fact, we strive to make a difference with the schools which are slightly less financed. So where they don't have private lessons, the kids don't have lessons at all, any private lessons. We go into there, and that's where actually the one-on-one takes place, I think, most effectively.
So you have a lot of performances upcoming.
Well, we're halfway through our season. We have 4 more what we call master works left, till the end of the season. So
tell us a little bit more about those programs.
Okay, well, the next one is in January, and I have to say, especially excited about this one. I'm excited by all of them, but for the following reason, I'm excited about this one, in that we are performing the US premiere. This means the first time this symphony has ever been performed in this entire country. Really? By a Czech composer. Her name is Sylvia Bodorova. It's kind of hard to pronounce, but she's Czech, who I've known for some years now. And in fact, I performed as a conductor many of her pieces for the first time. Some are even world premieres. But I'm particularly excited about this to bring this symphony to our orchestra, the Fairfax Symphony. This is a major work. It's about 30 minutes long. It's incredibly cathartic, meaning it kind of goes through a journey, some trials and tribulations, and comes out the other end really upbeat. A lot of rhythmic stuff. And it's been coupled with a symphony by Dvorak. He's one of the great symphonists, as you may know, of ever in classical music. And he's a Czech composer. That was the reason I wanted to pair the two. And in fact, Sylvia's music is very much influenced by great past composers like Dvorak and some other Czech composers. So I think it's going to be a great balance, this program.
And that's February 7th, correct?
Yes, did I say January? I'm sorry.
No, I just want to make sure that everybody heard that. It's February 7th. So can you tell us a little about what's coming up in March?
So in March, okay, so part of what we do, the diet of the music we try and give the community, is variation. So this season we have a number of concerts which are actually much smaller and more intimate in scale, fewer musicians on the stage, in fact a smaller venue. And that concert is indeed one of them. In March it's at the Harris Theatre, which is not our usual place, our usual place is George Mason University of the Arts Performing Arts Centre. Sorry, George Mason University Performing Arts Centre.
Very familiar with that.
Right, and the Harris Theatre is just up the street from there, but much smaller. And indeed, this concert, I think, I don't know the exact numbers, but maybe 25, 30 players as opposed to 60 or so. And the program is, in fact, only for the string group of the orchestra. We're highlighting the strings. And we have a soloist coming, who's indeed a string player, a violinist. And it's music of some of the greats of the past. There's Mozart and there's Bach, in fact. And also a piece by an English composer called Vaughan Williams, a piece called Fantasy on a Theme of Thomas Tallis. This piece is known by many classical music lovers. Beautiful tunes in it. It also actually has two orchestras. Even though it's very small, there is a kind of separate orchestra of only 5 or 6 players embedded in the big orchestra. So it's kind of exciting.
So if people want to learn more about your upcoming performances, where would they go?
Go to the website. Go to our website. Yeah.
Absolutely. That'll provide us with more details. So
that'd be great.
If we took like the last 30 seconds here, I have a really strange question for you. How did you get started in this?
In music or in...
How did you become a maestro? How did that happen?
I think everyone's journey is a little different, but I studied piano and violin at school. And when I was at college, I actually took a course, believe it or not in the technique of conducting, but kind of in what conducting is all about. Having already played in an orchestra, but I was a kid, I didn't know what the conductor did anyway. A lot of people say that, right? But I was kind of intrigued from the other side, as it were, and I took this, and I got sort of captivated by the idea of learning the whole piece, looking at the music from, as a whole, the depth of the entire piece rather than one part. And that's what set me on my way.
Absolutely, and you have succeeded.
Well, thank you very much.
Absolutely. Well, it's been a pleasure having you.
Pleasure being here.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you. When we return, Food for Others has been addressing the needs of the hungry in Northern Virginia now for 20 years. We'll learn about their programs and how you can help. There's more Cox Connections after the break.